Hey everyone, teen author Noah Barfield here, and this video in Writer's Corner is going to be something a little different. I know recently I've been talking about such wonderful subjects as fear, death, murder, betrayal, suspense, cliffhangers, yay! All things that we really enjoy hearing about because deep down I think we're sick and twisted inside, but that's okay, I got you. This video, however, I will be talking about something more happy and positive. Last week I talked about how there are two prime motivators for your characters. You have the carrot and the stick. Last week I talked about the stick, and how I split that stick into two major sections. You have external fear and internal fear. This video I will be talking about the carrot. That strange, brightly colored, oddly shaped plant that we pulled from the ground, brushed off the dirt, and said, hey, I'm hungry, let's eat this thing. But it's the positive one, so what are you gonna do? Now, the carrot for this video is love. Now, why love, you ask? And I'm glad you asked, and I don't have to answer imaginary questions like a crazy person. Now, I like talking about love. I like seeing love in the things around me. I like viewing the positive range of emotions, and I like feeling those. As much as I think that death and fear and all of that negative stuff is necessary for great works, so is love. It's been included in great works for as long as I can remember, and for actually just a very long time, ranging from Shakespeare to Disney. Love is something that I like seeing in the novels I read, and the TV shows and movies I see, and the games I play, and that I like viewing in the people around me, ranging from that cute elderly couple to my parents. Love is essential, and you can break it up into two specific parts, in my opinion. You can break that carrot up into romantic love and familial love. Now, what are the differences between these two kinds of loves? What's the purpose of them? How am I ever going to write these in my story? Great questions. I'm glad you asked them, and I'm glad you did it calmly, too. Now, the differences between romantic love and familial love can be determined within their names. Romance, family. Beyond that, romantic love is someone that you want to spend the rest of your life with. You want to crawl into bed at the end of the day with them and just fall asleep knowing that you are loved and you are not forever alone. You want to get with this person in a lot of ways, many different times. Now, familial love is the kind of love you have with someone that you are not related to or best friends with, though you can argue that the person you fall in love with will eventually become your best friend. But you don't want to be with these people in any romantic way. It's the kind of love that where you can get a few IQ points off of this person, argue with them over dinner, then go to bed knowing that if you suddenly got brought up on charges, they would bail you out of jail, because they love you that much and they're not gullible. It's the kind of love you have with your best friend and your family members. The purposes of these two different kinds of love are as wide and varied as the kinds of love themselves. Romantic love is something that the purpose of it is basically, while they're both motivators, it's something to fill a void within a person. I think that you have yourself chopped up for different ranges of emotions, and love is kind of one that's deficient until you find it later in your life. So you have that love that gets filled, and your void is filled, and you're happy. Now, familial love, while also a motivator, is more of something that what you would be willing to do to keep this person safe. That's commonly what it's viewed as in any form of storytelling, any form of media, written or otherwise. You have, the brother, the sister, the parent, the child, whatever. You have someone kidnapped. You are doing this to keep them safe. Yeah, you're a morally good person, so you're going to do this to save the galaxy, but mostly your family. It's the things that you would do, the trials and tribulations you would overcome for this person. All those are definitely done in romantic things as well. It's more of trials of the heart sort of thing rather than trials of every single thing that you can possibly imagine whenever it relates to familial love. And now is a great time to say that I will not be talking about romance. Not even a little bit in this video. Romance is a writing genre that I'm not going to cover at this moment, because that's like me trying to encompass all of science fiction writing within one video. I'm arrogant, but I'm not that arrogant. I also, when talking about love, though I'm being talking about the differences, the purposes, and then some tips on how to write them, I'll not be talking about the specific ways your characters should express their love, because the ways one can express their love is as varied as there are people on this planet. There's so many ways to do it. There's a lot of ways to express your love, ranging from flowers, to sentimental gifts, to staying home, to care for someone whenever they're sick, to just not stabbing someone that day. Love comes in all shapes and sizes. It's important to note that in your story, there are many different ways you can show love. Your character might show love in a different way than you do. It just has to be unique to that character. So this is a great time for me to introduce some of the writing tips that I have for writing love. A couple of writing tips for romantic love, and then a couple of writing tips for familial love. So my first tip for romantic love is to make the characters good characters. I'm not talking morally good characters here. You can have morally ambiguous characters because we love those characters. No, whenever I say good characters, yeah, they can be good people, but they need to be well thought out. They need to be likable and relatable. You don't have to like them all the time. They can do crappy things. You don't even have to like them most of the time. You just have to have an overall not negative impression of them. You want to see them fall in love. That's the kind of characters that you need, because if you don't have relatable, likable characters, you're not going to care if they fall in love or not, if they have this void that needs to be filled. So what? I don't like them. Screw yourself. So they need to be good characters. You also need to make sure that falling in love is realistic, because while a lot of people want to have that fairy tale love story and wedding, what they don't realize is that in fairy tales, one person saves another person from certain inevitable doom. They spend a few weeks together, fall madly in love, and get married happily ever after. What happens after that happily ever after? They realize that the person that they married that saved them, while maybe someone very heroic, also does not shave body hair nor bathe. Do you really want to spend the rest of your life with this person? So it needs to happen realistically, meaning you need a realistic connection. It can either be instantaneous or it can happen over time. A great way to do happening over time is to have someone that they already have a relationship with, that they think is familial love, but turns out to be something completely different instead. That this is what they've been wanting for their entire lives. A great way to show that they actually need to have that void filled within them, that love will fill, is to symbolize that with other characters. Yeah, maybe they're trying to save the galaxy from the impending forces of evil, but their friends from the academy are all married, they all have kids now, and maybe your main character doesn't realize that they're missing something until they look at their best friend and they realize, man, I've been missing that my entire life. So you need to have that connection feel realistic. You also need to have the falling in love feel realistic. All these emotions, all of the angst, all the fear, the dread, the happiness, the joy, the super range of emotions that you feel pumped up with inside your body the moment you see that person, and it just doesn't go away, and that's how you know that you're in love with them. You need to have that falling in love period captured. You also need to have the romance part of it captured well, the relationship part of it, because that is filled with love. Not only the honeymoon phase, but also the I'm going to argue with you, storm off, not want to ever come back, and then sleep with you at the end of the day, because that's love sort of thing. You need to encompass that. And now it doesn't have to be exactly that, but it's helpful to symbolize it in some way or another. You also need to have realistic struggle. Now, no love is really complete without having struggle inside of it, because you don't get to have these romantic gestures. It's like, hey, I like you too, and then nothing. It's boring to read. Well, it may be perfect to have in real life, it's boring to read, and it never gives your characters the chance to show their depth of commitment and dedication for each other. Now, in terms of familial love, commonly they already have a relationship. They have built it up over time. And you can showcase different points of it. Points where they have this love-hate, mostly love, but a little hate, and that's the kind of perfect balance that you need for familial love. The kind where, yeah, you kind of want to choke them out sometimes, but you also would definitely stop an entire army of darkness for this person. It's the kind of love that you just feel deep down. Whereas romantic love is this blazing heat that eventually settles into coals that can easily be reawakened. The familial love is always kind of this eternal, small, warm flame that you have inside of yourself. It's sweet, and it's kind, and it's a little irritating, and it's a little too much sometimes, but it's okay. Also, commonly, familial love is used, while as a motivator, yes, it's also used as, I will literally do anything for this person. I will kill people for this person. I will attend plays for this person to show that I am committed to keeping our friendship alive, or to keeping the bonds of family together. It's commonly a very emotional thing, and there's sometimes some death in there for your characters that pushes them and motivates them in a different way. Overall, two things need to happen for romantic love and familial love, and these are the final things that I'm going to say, and the final things that you need to leave your reader with. 1. Your main character needs to have been changed by this love. They need to have been changed in some way. Negative or positive, who can say? That's up to you. But they need to not be the same person at the end of your story after experiencing love than they were at the beginning. Otherwise, it feels like you've gone full circle, and that feels incomplete. You also need to have some sort of sacrifice. Whether they have a physical sacrifice to make, not like I'm going to give you a chicken and then kill it in your name, more like I will sacrifice myself to stop this army of darkness because I want you to see the positive change I make, but I'll know you will live on to see that change. So it's a sort of sacrifice. You can do that physically, you can do little sacrifices to show the love this person has for someone else. It can be the sacrifice of the person they love. Love is nothing without struggle and sacrifice, but also nothing without the happy times, the positivity, and the commitment. Love is a great many things, but at the end of your story, you need to leave your reader knowing that your character has changed and that there has been some sacrifice made in the name of love. Now that's all for love today. I might do something more on it later. Depends on how great the response is of this. Now, you can find me everywhere. I'm almost everywhere. I'm even underneath your bed right now. No, I'm not. Probably. You can find me on Facebook and on Twitter. Don't forget to subscribe. You can check out my book, Legendland, on my website and on Amazon. It's at both of those places. There are many links for it. I will include them all below, or alternatively, you can just click here. Either one works. So, thank you for watching. I hope this has been helpful. If it has, please let me know. Please tell everyone else you know about this video, and I hope that not only did you enjoy now, but that you continue to enjoy.